off its premiere at the 2023 South by Southwest Film Festival, I Used to Be Funny is an interesting new comedic drama, I guess we want to maybe call it.
Comedy drama.
Yeah.
I will stand by that.
All right. Yeah. It's about Sam, a young stand-up comedian and au pair dealing with PTSD after Brooke, a girl that she used to nanny, goes missing. A really interesting film starring Rachel Sennott in a role that is a bit of a switch up from what I feel like most people are used to seeing her in. Definitely much closer to the Shiva Baby end of the spectrum than maybe like Bodies, but even more dramatic, I'd say, than what we get from her in Shiva Baby, because you really do get that internalized struggle, that inability to get over elements of trauma, and I think she embodies it really well. For me, I was really struck by not only how well the drama ultimately lands, but also how they're able to maintain a pretty fun sense of comedy throughout. To me, I mentioned this before, I was reminded of Funny People, not because the films are similar really in terms of plot or character, but in that because they feature these very funny characters, even when they're in their sadder down moments, they're throwing in those punchlines there. I think it's very funny, but also just very effective and emotional. I was really struck by it. Amanda, I think you were as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it's like the millennial humor, and I know Gen Z does it too, but like we like to make jokes out of tragedies and bad situations.
At our own expense.
I cannot name the number of times where something really horrible is happening, and the first thing to come to my mind is a joke. And I have to start like apologizing before I say it, but it usually somehow ends up helping the situation, even if someone's really mad at me. Like it just helps, and that's kind of what this is all about. And then it has that extra added layer that she's a stand-up comedian who hasn't been able to do the stand-up comedy since this traumatic event happened to her for a variety of different reasons, because her very private moment did end up becoming like a very like public thing. And when you kind of realize that, it's like, oh shit, that's like horrifying.
They
on
handle
every
it so
possible
well.
level. And it's so well weaved together, and it tells the story non-linearly, which is very interesting. So you kind of get where she is, and it weaves back into her, forming this relationship with Brooke, and then you do catch on what happens before they lay it out for you, but then you're like, oh no, please don't be that. Please don't be that. And it's just so good and handled so well.
Yeah, they do hold their cards a little bit close to the chest, which is the thing that I tend to like in movies like this, because it does sort of force you to engage with the character, try to sort of reach her emotional level. And I think it also does kind of like work similar to Memory, and that memory and feelings of PTSD don't follow sort of like a linear path. Recovery doesn't follow the linear path. So it did feel like very effective in communicating what she's going through. Art, this is like a really great role for Rachel Sennott. What were you struck by her performance here?
Just the way she was able to balance the humor in between the drama. It's my second favorite movie of the fest. The way you were explaining it being non-linear, the next day I went and played it back because it was a part of our screening library, which we always think, that's going to be like a doc, or they're going to put some shorts up there. Our most anticipated narrative was on there, and it was the only one.
Canadian.
That's so lame. This was the standout of that category.
Yeah.
But like I said, just overall in the fest, it was my.
That was the one thing. When she said she's from Toronto, I was like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. I know. Shut up, okay, man. Toronto has cool people too. Leave it alone.
In that rewatch, you pick up on so many things. I was telling you on some of the ones, like a character who resays a line from earlier on in the movie, but it has a completely different context. Look, we've had dramedies. Yeah, I'd say Cora Bora went into the route of being a dramedy, right? This has to be a comedy drama and it's the comedy first. It's the idea of you can have, and I truly believe this, you're a big fan of Barry, actors who do comedy can strike in the most dramatic sense that a dramatic actor can't. There's another movie that we're going to be mentioning in Down Low that hit me in a way that it shouldn't, because it sets it all up in comedy, and then that drama just hits you in the face. This is that best example of there being jokes in a regular conversation.
Yeah, which is great.
And it's so subtle, but the humor is in like the emotions that they're expressing.
Yeah.
And she knocked it out of the park.
She did.
I already look. There's a lot of comedians who kill their roles, but because it's comedy, no one takes it seriously. So then they have to do a dramatic role, right? Like an Adam Sandler in Funny People, like an Adam Sandler in Punch and Glove.
Yeah.
Damn, she is able to take this. He's got a lot, right? She's able to take this to a degree where she handled some of these scenes to a point where I was like,
one that is going to be with me. It's like the couch scene. the way that's worded out. And I do actually feel like we should say that if you are someone who is sensitive to like assault, maybe they don't show anything. They're very good about how they cut away.
The way they did that was effective.
It's effective, and it's not, but just keep that in mind. I'm not trying to spoil the movie, but I do think it's just a good thing to put out there. I don't want people to just jump into this thinking that like, oh, it's Rachel Sennott. Just like be mindful of that.
It does it so well. You do need a warning because it would be triggering something.
Yeah.
But there's that one scene between her and the actress.
The
younger one?
Olga Petsa.
Ooh. That scene just elevated it to the next level for me.
Yeah.
And then you rewatch the movie knowing the nonlinear part of it. Ooh, it makes for a great rewatch. It's actually even better on a rewatch. So
yeah, I mean, I think
I loved it.
Something that's a sign of a good film if there's sort of lots of interesting threads to it, and there's not just her dealing with the PTSD and her dealing with the like being a comedian and trying to regain that, but also just the relationship between her becoming this sort of like surrogate older sister. And I don't know, there's all the elements with the boyfriend that you were alluding to too. I just think there's like every character, every scene does feel very, very considered. Does feel like it's adding to the pieces of the puzzle, and it might not feel like that at first. Like there was
that's what makes it such a good movie.
I think for about half of the movie I was like, this movie needs to give me a little more, because I don't really know.
And it was there the whole time.
It's there, and it by the end I was more than on board, more than sold with it. But and it's that thing I was talking about holding your cards close to the chest, because it does kind of make you engage with it and make them a little more real. Because people, especially people who suffer from PTSD, aren't just like constantly sharing their trauma. No. You have to spend time with her to know her, to learn about these things. And the performance is so good and so real and so charming too, that you want to spend that time, even though it is sometimes a difficult sit. Like you do want to give it the time and find out more. I mean, I went into the film expecting to like it, and I think it even exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, Rachel Sennott, Queen of Sundance, not Sundance, South by Southwest. She's the
Bodies.
Queen.
Shiva. Bottoms, Shiva.
Like
South by
not just this year, just like every year, she's like a force to be reckoned with. Even
the year they didn't even have theater screening.
She knocked it. So I didn't love Bodies as much as I wanted to love Bodies. She stole the show.
Yeah.
She comes out scot clean. She's like Jenna Ortega in Scream. She comes out scot free. Like she is like a talent that I'm like really excited to keep watching. Like, oof. It's fun.
And I'm proud of this role, because here you can't argue she can't handle that dramatic role at that point. We always knew she had it in her.
But it is one of those things that really does sell her as a movie star, not just like a comedy star. Like you look at a role like Bodies, and it's like she could be the funny side character for the next 10 years. But she's bigger than that too.
She's bigger than that,
That was a good. Everyone in Bodies is acting their butt off. And people don't want to give that movie the credit because it's a comedy, but they are embodying something.
They are.
Bodies is my bottoms.
No, I get it. And on it, like, it's just, I just didn't like.
No, I understand completely. It's like even if you like Evil Dead, it's not going to be for everybody, because it reaches that point of just being so authentic. And going back to what Zach had said, people who have PTSD, movies think, oh, I'm the PTSD person. Man, those people who like go out online and talk about how antisocial they are socially. I hate that. You said that you had to be patient with this movie, and that's what engaged me so much more, because it felt like a real person, not a screenwriter or an actor trying to portray someone who's a hermit. No, this felt like that.
There are also some films that we've seen here that deal with elements of PTSD. And feels like
say it.
Parachute is the one that I'm thinking.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Cora Bora. Cora Bora wasn't down to Parachute, but it was also like, I liked Cora Bora. This did everything even better than that.
And I think both those films do tend to make almost every scene a little bit more about the PTSD. And I like that it's just sort of like, it's the thing that's happening underneath the scene. It's not the focus of the scene.
Yeah, because she's just trying to get over this thing, but also she's not necessarily doing the thing she needs to get over it. So it's just always in the back. It's always in the back.
Yes.
Always in the back.
The creativity just being squandered in her.
Yeah,
I think is the biggest dramatic take that she has on this, because it's in the title. I used to be funny. That inability to do what you love.
Yeah, that you were known for.
That people liked you for. I really like it, man. And then we didn't get to make it to the stand-up special. Zach believes it's the last one, but Rachel,
so hard.
we know that you will still be doing stand-up. And we will be there on the next one if we can get
We
express
tried
passes.
so hard. We tried, man, but the girlies, they were out.
Yeah.
They're almost as aggressive as the Swifties now, man. Like, they're there. Respect,
That's a good
worth
thing.
it.
Shout out to them. You like the supporting cast. Talk about them.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
there's a lot of really great actors in smaller roles here. I'm always happy to see Jason Jones pop up, and he kind of uses I think like his look in an interesting way. I kind of want to leave it at that. Caleb Hearon, very funny guy on Twitter. Absolutely hysterical in this movie, but also just real. You know, I think that's the thing we're talking about is that comedians do have that ability to sometimes be very authentic, and yeah, he stood out to me.
There is you're funny if you can make me laugh off of a line that I hate the overuse of slay, eat, and I forget, it was something else. He made me laugh off of one of those jokes. I won't spoil it. And Down Low had one as well, and Cora Bora had one. If you can make me laugh off of a cliche, you're funny.
Yeah, you're doing good, you know?
I'd also shout out Sabrina, I want to say Jalees. Great job being kind of like the counterpart to Rachel Sennett's character as a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you called it your second favorite of the fest. I think it's my third, which is not an insult at all.
Not bad.
It's excellent. And Caitlin had it at number 1 of hers.
Hey, the
Senators.
Down
is that
Rachel Senators.
Is that claimed yet?
Yeah. Oh, I just made it up.
Oh, right
Honestly,
there. From Caitlin,
like
Senators.
on repeat views, this might end up going above bottoms for me. It's just
Do it.
really a matter of
Do
like,
it.
do it.
Do it.
Okay, I'm giving this.
No.
Yeah, it's just a toss up between the two.
So you got 2 Rachel Sennott on the top, huh?
Dude, I knew I was gonna love them, but like
They hit.
As we always
they
say,
hit.
we don't like him because it's Rachel Sennott. We like Rachel Sennott because she continues to make movies.
That's what
like
I mean.
this.
That's what it is. It's not, because like if that was the case, I would have been like bodies, work of art. For some reason, that is a movie that should have hit for me that didn't hit as well. I didn't hate it. I'm talking like I hate it. It just didn't hit as hard as I thought it was going to. But she hit.
We would also argue this was a better performance out of the narrative. You had mentioned Parachute. She won it. None of us were the biggest fans of Parachute. I didn't mind her performance too much, but this was a way better performance. There's so much more nuance in it, so much more growth, so much more everything, to be honest with you. And it didn't get anything. Also, shout out to the director.
Do you think it didn't get anything because it was on? Do you think they didn't take it seriously because it was on?
I don't know.
I wouldn't imagine that, but maybe. I don't know. But we should shout out, as you mentioned, Ali.
Writer-director.
Yeah.
Worked on Schitt's Creek, The Great. Already had a great track record, which makes me think, what's going to be the pickup for this movie? Because there is no distribution for it, as we know so far. But I would love to see
She
this.
wrote it too, so she's writer director.
Yeah, some smart indie label's going to pick this up, and it's going to be an art house hit because, like as we mentioned, the Rachel fans were really excited for this one. She's so good in it.
She's so good.
It is 100%.
The Senators. I'll refer to them by their official name. Thank you, Caitlin.
100% a must watch. If it's playing in a theater, I highly recommend it. Again, maybe it's going to have to be in like the music boxes, the IFCs. If it's playing in a theater, do yourself a favor, go watch it. But even if it gets picked up streaming, we'll be keeping an eye out of it. We'll be mentioning whatever weekend must watch, whatever that weekend is, we'll be talking about it for sure.
There'll be a pick for the week. Absolutely.
Yeah.